Man, it feels like a sauna in here. Mount Chimney, the highest point in the entire Hoenn region, and one of the most interesting places as well. I haven't really talked about it much in videos, though as I've discussed Route 113 and Lava Ridge Town, it was always looming in the background. A giant volcano in roughly the center of a region, Mount Chimney is one of the most important locations in the Generation 3 games, because there is a lot happening on it, in it, and beside it. With the progression of a main story, you only get a glimpse at first, passing through the fiery path on your way to Fall Arbor Town, a cave so hot you can see the steam rising up from the floor. I always thought this was a fun idea to have a little passage through the mountain with a relatively straightforward path to the end. Inside you can find fire-type Pokemon like Numel, Torkoal, and Slugma. That's a neat idea to give a player access to fire Pokemon at a decent point of the game if they didn't choose Torchic as a starter. But as a Trico enjoyer, I really would have preferred it if this happened before Watson. There are some items to pick up, but you need to revisit when you get the Strength HM, so that's it for now. The next time you'll return to Mount Chimney is when the main plot with Team Magma or Team Aqua really begins to take off. They aren't just stealing Pokemon or raiding the Oceanic Museum, they want to cause the volcano to become active. That is if you're playing Ruby version or Emerald version, where Team Magma is the one occupying the volcano. Otherwise, Team Aqua actually want to cause it to become dormant. That might sound like a good thing, but remember that there are a bunch of Pokemon living here and all around, and we've seen people build their way of life around the volcano. As mentioned with Route 113, the falling ash wasn't all that harmful to the people and the Pokemon there. In fact, there's a guy who made a living by making furniture and items out of it, and if Team Aqua took away the charm that route has, I don't think I'd be able to forgive him. Then also remember Lava Ridge Town, which becomes accessible later on. The inhabitants there have built a nice little community that thrives off the natural hot springs and the warm sand in order to create a place where everyone can relax and use the gift provided to them from the earth. The entire point of the Hoenn region is to be a place where nature becomes part of everyday life. And regardless of which evil team is the focus of the game you're playing, they're actively trying to disrupt the natural order. Anyway, in order to get up to the peak of Mount Chimney in the first place, you can take the cable car, which has a unique little cutscene that plays during the transition. There's so much perfection about this, and it only lasts a few seconds. The trees and mountains are actually represented here with unique sprites. The music rises as you reach the top, the falling ash progressively comes into frame, and best of all, there's a 1 in 64 chance of an NPC appearing in the foreground. I wasn't about to grind the cable car to capture it for myself, and others have already brought up the interesting mechanics behind the event, but I remember the first time I saw this, I was blown away. What do you mean some dude randomly shows up during a mini cutscene? What is this, a creepypasta? Well, that was a nice little ride, but I finally made it, and boy does that music go hard. I love how during the Evil Team event, not only are there grunts waiting around to battle the player, but some of them have already started duking it out with the opposite team members. They only have Poochyena, which makes sense because that's one that almost all of them have, but I also can't help but wonder if this was a little shortcut they took because they had already used it in the beginning where Professor Birch is being chased. Either way, the best part is that the leader of the opposite team, here being Archie with his Poochyena, is just tearing it up against 3 at a time. What are you feeding this guy?
What the dog doing?
Then you get to battle against one of the admins before taking on the leader, and it's a good little battle. Not the toughest because this would be the first time you're encountering them, but the stakes and the setting honestly couldn't have been better. I mean, this was the guy who was calling all the shots whenever you ran into the low-level grunts while just trying to become the very best like no one ever was. You only have 3 badges at the time, but you're taking on the boss on top of a volcano. The music and the visuals come together perfectly. I almost kind of wish that the set piece would have been saved for the final battle. I mean, inject those Revenge of the Sith vibes right into my veins, it's so good. But after completing this event, there isn't a whole lot else to do here. I mean, they leave their weird machine with the meteorite that they stole still inside, which I really want to just know how exactly that was supposed to work anyway. Even though it keeps the epic music, the top of Mount Chimney is really just meant to be a tourist attraction, or at least just a natural place that people casually visit. That's why the cable car was there at all. There's a granny by the entrance who will sell you lava cookies, the local specialty, and these are pretty cool too, because they're basically full heals at a decent price. At this point in the story, you'll gain access to Jagged Pass, which is all downhill with ledges, patches of grass, and a few trainers. It's a fine route, and you can actually go uphill at some points if you have the acro bike, but it becomes even more important in Pokemon Emerald. Later on, after visiting Mount Pyre, you'll obtain the Magma emblem, which allows you to access the hidden Team Magma lair inside the Jagged Pass. Because this game incorporates both evil teams, the aquatic base just outside of Lily Cove City is given to Team Aqua, while the Magma base is a brand new location. And dang, this place feels huge! It feels like an expansion of what you got to experience in the Fiery Path, but almost scary with how much deeper it goes. Both in the sense that you feel like you might get lost, but also because you start to see all this equipment lying around. One of those cool pieces of visual storytelling. The sheer amount of machines shows you just how much they've done to the landscape, and the fact that they're all just lying around means that Team Magma have already reached whatever they're digging for. And in the deepest depths, you'll finally see Groudon. You know what, the fact that they had expanded things to fit both Team Aqua and Magma into one game, I find it funny how they made the base and the legendary Pokemon layer into one place. That's actually kinda cool. It kinda further contributes to the differences between Team Aqua and Team Magma, where Team Aqua, being more like pirates, will have their base in one place that's like a hidden cave with treasures inside, and they'll voyage out to wherever the legendary Pokemon is. Meanwhile, Team Magma, being so organized, will just build their base right on top of where they plan to keep going. But now Maxie awakens Groudon and attempts to control it, but as usual it bounces out of there with a crazy super jump. Then Maxie challenges a player to another battle, blaming you for what happened, and look man, I didn't do anything, I was just snooping around. And not that this battle is anything to scoff at, I mean last time I played it was a pretty decent challenge and I could definitely never Nuzlocke this game, but the actual battle here is only one part of an entire narrative. For now, we basically finished everything that Mount Chimney has to offer. Even in just the original Ruby and Sapphire, it always felt important with the fact that you come back to it multiple times. You not only go through it, you go around, on top, and along the side. It isn't the only volcano we've seen in a Pokemon game, but it is one with the most significance. The way in which the region is built around it and how it serves a role in the main story set it above any similar location. And yeah, the additions in Pokemon Emerald making it the resting place of Groudon were a really nice touch, along with everything else that happened to better integrate the legendaries into the region. I wouldn't say that this is one of my favorite places in the entire Hoenn region, because there are so many others that have their own vibe that I like better, but I will say that there is no single vibe that defines Mount Chimney. Sure, you can identify something for the peak with that cool music, but remember that everything around it is a part of it as well. Route 113 is one of my favorite places, and it only exists because of Mount Chimney. They're all connected, and that's what makes it perfect. So let me know what you think in the comments below about the big volcano and which moment in the story is your favorite, because there genuinely is a lot going on here. As I mentioned, I like the first confrontation with the evil team, but I will always choose to vibe on Route 113 or heck even Lava Ridge Town. Anyway, I'll see ya. There's no better outro that I can think of other than just going back to doing exactly that. Thank every channel member including the Great Gators, Cemetery Hill, Pio the Genius, SB Jump, Kurilu Stromboli, Justin Dowes, Al Rome, Pastel Blood, Cosmo Zero, Mr. Saturn, Rainfrux, Cheese at 62, Switz Cheese, Michael Snyder, Lockadox, Gallantry, Gator Kid 509, TF, Cheeseburger Lasers, Mathaclog 947, The Shadow and Josh Show, Taijirai, Justin R, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support See Your Name here, get access to emotes and comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, as well as a monthly members-only podcast that I'm catching up on, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
You've mastered every challenge. Now enter the all-new battleground. The battle frontier is coming, with 7 new Master Frontier brains waiting to take you on. You can get a bonus battle gear kit when you reserve your copy of Pokémon Emerald. Coming May 1st, only for Game Boy Advance. Rated E for everyone.